afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. We are your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I wanted to put a video together for you today. I've been to Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. You know, I love belts. I love wearing belts, but I also like making something from belts, okay? Mostly jewelry. So I found some really, really good buys. And these are like $1 a piece at Shepherd's Cove. But first of all, I wanted to show you one that I found. This was a belt right here. And this was already made on the inside of the belt, as you can see. And so what I did is I put snaps on it. Had to make some holes in the leather. Now, I only want real leather, okay? Leather, and suede leather is absolutely awesome, but it needs to be something that's really soft, you know, something that's really easy to work with. Some of the stiffer, they did not work, the stiffer leather. So anyway, I went on ahead and I cut some off. You need to kind of make it generic, and if you're making these to sell, you'll need to go with a generic size. But I wanted this one to fit just for me. Wore it Sunday at church, and a lot of folks at Cowboy Church, whoa, I love your bracelet. That's pretty cool. And again, made with a belt, and I really love the design. So there was a time when I was shopping for belts, and I would look for, you know, I really wasn't looking at the design element that much. So when I'm at a thrift store, especially Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop, I do shop around for a particular bend in a belt. And I'm going to show you a couple of things I found. Again, this one was only $1. And you don't even have to look at don't worry about the size of a belt anymore. You don't have to do that. And all you're going to do is look for quality, make sure it's a good leather belt. Look at the back, especially if you're going to use it for resale, and make sure that there's no broken parts, because nobody's going to buy it, okay? Even though it's a good belt, nobody's going to buy it if it has broken looking pieces, okay? And this is beautiful. This looks almost like ostrich. I don't think it is. I'm going to say it is leather. I know that for sure. But I'm going to say that this leather belt right here, that's not really ostrich or alligator. It looks more like alligator. It's not really. But what they'll do sometimes with a regular piece of leather, again, leather, that's all that counts, to make sure it's leather and it looks good. But sometimes they'll emboss it, and it's like it feeds through this machine, and they'll put the leather through the machine and makes it look like it's ostrich or something, you know, similar to it. But I really do like this one. I like the color, and see how bendable it is. That's what you're looking for when you're making a bracelet. I can make several bracelets off of this one. And I'll tell you something else you can do. Always save the buckles, okay? Because you can make really nice statement necklaces out of the buckle. What you would do is just take this part off right here. You would cut it. Now make sure you've got scissors that actually cut leather. These are really good ones right here. I've had these for a long time, and I've not had their Fiskars. They're the best, and so they're not paying me to say this, but these are a really good pair of scissors right here. I haven't even had them sharpened. I haven't had to. Again, you would want to use something good like that. Or you can do this. If it's a small enough buckle, you could go on ahead and cut the leather to maybe right here and just wear it like this. Wear it like a belt, and you would have the buckle on it. Just make sure that, I'm going to raise my sleeve up so you can see what I'm talking about. Make sure, if you're going to do that, that the buckle would wear easy on your arm or on your wrist, okay? You don't want it to be like so big and so bulky that it doesn't wear well. It needs to be a smaller buckle. This one would work well. And see, that's a small enough buckle right there. It would actually feel that it would rest really good on your wrist. So you can see what I'm talking about. But now I've got something else in mind. I want this buckle right here as a necklace. And it'll have that kind of the Western look to it. I'm not as crazy about the belt itself. This is not real leather. This is like a patent something. And I could tell it was an expensive one, but I don't want to make a bracelet out of that. I got this one for the design again of the buckle because we're going to make a statement necklace out of this one right here. Okay, I'll put this over. If I have time, we'll do it today. If not, that'll just be another show. Now, let's go ahead and I want to cut the belt. Okay, I'm going to save this part. And I don't know if you can see it or not. There are holes right there. See, they're not worn out. This is a really good made belt. So what I'm going to do is kind of adjust it. I'm going to cut it about the size of my wrist. And what I'll do, I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than this one right here. But what I'm going to do, I'll make another hole right here. And I'm going to use snaps in it. Okay. And the rest of the holes there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 holes right here. And I can go ahead and put rivets in those, and that would be really pretty. So I'll do that possibly a little bit later as well. Again, it doesn't matter the brand. You can feel a good piece of leather, and this is. And again, I like the way it. Now, if it's bunded and it's really thick, and I've been asked, and I make these for people like if someone passes away, like maybe your dad or your granddad's favorite belt, and people want bracelets made out of them. And I've done that before, but if it's a very thick leather, it's really hard to do. And what you have to do, you have to take, there might be some kind of a backing, bunding to it. You'd have to take that out. And it just doesn't look good to me on the inside of it. And I want the inside of my pieces to look as good as that outside looks as well. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go on ahead and cut this one. And I'm going to give you a variety and tell you some different things that you can do. Let's go ahead and cut it maybe an inch because this is a pretty big belt. So I'll be able to make plenty of bracelets with this one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it again with my good Fiskars scissors. You don't want to mess up your good scissors, okay, that you use for other things. Okay, now I'll place this over here to the side. There are a couple of things I'm going to show you when it comes to the way it looks. And I can show you on this one. Okay, now see where I cut this one. It's not exactly straight. See? And you want it to be exactly straight. Okay, so cutting it with the scissors, as you can see right there, you can see this part right here. I'll show you how to fix that as well. So what I'm going to do, I have these tools right here. And I really love these tools. You'll need a good hammer. And these will actually make a really pretty, it'll make it look really pretty where you've cut it off. Now, even though that part is going to be hidden, I still want it to look really nice for my customers. And especially if you're making jewelry, burial jewelry, someone passed away, you want the family to have something really nice, you know. So what I'm going to do, now there are different sizes. Make sure you have the right size. You don't want it to be too short, and if it's too big, it just seems to, now see if it's too short like this is, it won't make a pretty cut. So this one's just a little bit too short, and I'd really rather not use one that's too big. Okay, so I'm not going to use that one. So I like this one. Okay, and again, I'm going to make it a real pretty rounded. Now, I'm going to move the camera, and I'll move it back up so we can talk as well. Well, before I do that, let me show you something else. So let's pretend there are different ways that you can, because you can use snaps, which is I use snaps most of the time. I just like the way they work and they stay better. And I could make it like bigger, like if and let me show you what a snap looks like. Okay. So, and I really do like, these are really popular right now. It really has no, no bearing, but I just like the way it looks. But there's a male and there's a female part of this, okay? So what I like to do, if I'm making bracelets for sale, I want to make one that would be kind of large and small. So I just need one of the snaps that heads up, see, like this. And so I would actually make a hole right here, and there are a couple of ways you can do that. I like this, but I have found over time, because you can eventually wear these things out, and over time they just get a little bit harder to work with. So if I wanted to put that, I usually just eyeball it, but if you wanted to put a, make it really precise and put a hole like right here, that would fit just perfect for those snaps. But I found another way that you can do it. And again, it takes longer to do it this way. You got to make sure you really put a whole lot of force. But I like making the holes using these. And I have different sizes of these as well. Now you have to kind of clean them out because after a while there'll be a lot of leather that'll get inside that hole right there. So I've cleaned this one out, and it's real easy to do. I usually just get a nail or something like that, and then I'll clean it out here, and all of the trash just kind of goes through here. But something, I save those because that's pretty cool. You can use those in some of your design jewelry. So save them. They'll be perfect little holes, perfect little round circles. So that would be good for that. Now these come also in different sizes as well. So I got a bunch of this, like that's a great big one. That would be just way too big to use. And the way you can make sure you got the right size, let's go ahead and I'll use the male part so you can see what I'm talking about. Now see, this is just way too big. You want the hole to be just a little snug right here on this part. See, it needs to be snug. So let me show you what I like to do. So this one I think is probably going to be the right size. So what I'll do is I'll put it where it gets, see where it goes in like that, goes inside that hole. That is going to be the perfect size. Okay, now I'll go ahead and put this back together. So I will be making a bracelet out of this one. So let's go ahead and put this down so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, now there's my block. I'm going to put it down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's my block. So what I'll do, I've got my hammer. Now there's two sides of this hammer right here. You want the smooth part, okay? Now you can use different kinds of hammers, but this is my favorite one. This is what I use for everything. That's going to be a little loud, okay? So this is the way it goes. Now make sure you've got a good block to work with, okay? I like to use this little metal block right here, and what you can do, what I normally do, is I would put something, it can be like a little cushion or something like that, which is going to absorb the loudness, and I should have done that for you. Okay, and there we go, as easy as that. See, I've got the hole right there. So what I would actually do is get this part, put it inside, and then you'll get this part. Okay, and then you'll use another tool to make sure it's together, okay? All right, but that's not what we're going to do today. I just wanted to show you how to do it. Okay? Oh, and before I do something else, let me show you. Now, you can see right here, I've got it not quite enough. Okay, so this is what I was telling you about before, because I want it to have a real pretty smooth surface. So let's go on ahead and go down with the camera again so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Now you remember I told you I wanted something just a little bit bigger, and I'm eyeballing it. But now this is your first time doing it. You might want to take a little more time, but if you've done several hundreds of these, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is going to make it a real pretty smooth surface right there. Okay, so here we go. Got my hammer out again. I'm going to make some noise. I'm warning you. And you might have to do several times. Okay, I have to do several times on this one. Again, you're putting it on a block. Okay, so there we go. Now, one thing I'm going to do is use my scissors because I want it to be real pretty smooth, okay? If you can see what I'm doing, I hope I do have it correctly for you. See what a pretty nice finish that makes right there? And that is if you wanted it to be curved. Now, let me show you a couple different things that you can do as well. Let's put this one to the side. Okay, because I want to cut off another piece. Here we go. So I would like for this to be just about the size of this one. And we can always adjust later, right? Because if I cut it too short, it's going to be, I can't gain that back. But if I cut it too long, which is what I'm going to do, if I cut it too long, well, then it's easier to correct, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and cut this off. Got a magnet to it. Okay, so let's cut it. Again, I got these trusty scissors. These are my Fiskars, and I only use them for leather. Nobody can use this to cut hair or anything else with. That's mine. Okay, so what I will do, let's put my wrist right here. I think I guessed it. Okay, because what I want to do, I want to put 2 snaps on it. Okay, now let me give you another idea. If you don't want to use snaps, something else you can use is something like this. It's a magnet, and I've used a lot of these in my time. Okay, now you have to keep the magnet cleaned. If you don't keep it clean, what's going to happen over time, your body oil is going to get on it, and it won't hold as well. And that's another reason you want to use a good piece of leather like this that bends really well. Guys really do like these, okay? Now this is the wrong size, okay? I don't know that I have the right size in this one. I'm looking to see. I probably do, but it's in my box, and I'm not going to waste your time, but I just want you to get the gist of it. So this is what you would do. Make sure you use a good leather glue. Now let's pretend this fits. Now the perfect fit, it will go in like so. See, it won't because of this part, but here we go. We'll do this. Okay, so for the perfect fit, you want it to go exactly the size and the width of the belt. See, this is too long, but let's just pretend this one fits. What I'll do, again, I got that exact fit, okay? So what I would do is get some glue, it needs to be leather glue, and put it on the inside of this right here, okay? Then I'll go on ahead and move it like so. It does need to set overnight, okay, at least 24 hours. And what you want to do, what I found actually works better for me, is when I'm doing this, I like to set one side at a time. The reason I do that is I'll turn right around and fix this side in. That way you know you've got it fixed exactly, okay? So see how you would have the other side fit in as well, like that. And do use a real good glue for this. And again, you want to keep this cleaned. See those contact pieces right there? You need to make sure you use something like just a regular rubbing alcohol, because rubbing alcohol is going to dry really fast too. So you want to clean those contact points there, well, at least once a month or so. It depends on how often you wear it. I wear one all the time, so I'm doing it like once a week. But these are really neat. They're magnets, and they go in just perfect for those belts. So that's a tip number 1 right there. All right. Oh, this one might fit. Let's see. With that one, that's closer to it, but I tell you what, you can make that work. All you would have to do is cut the corners. Just be take your time doing this, okay? So you would cut your corners just a little bit, and then you put these in. And that would be a pretty one too. I like the way that one looks. It's kind of like that gun barrel look. I think that's gorgeous. Okay, so that one's closer to a fit. You may have to kind of play around with it because belts are made just a little bit differently, you know. All right, so we're going to keep those over there. Now, I've got another idea for you before we get to the snaps. Another thing you can use, if you wanted to make more of a bracelet style out of it, I love these. They're gorgeous. Now, you can use bigger ones if you would like to do that. And you can use these. And these are really good. And you can get them any size in the world. Now, these are really easy to make. So what you would do, you can just use your pliers. Let me give you a little lesson on pliers. Now see these pliers right here. This is a smooth surface right here, okay? That's smooth. Now if I use this one, this is more like for your nails and, you know, things like that. It has a little rigid look to it right there, okay? That could make, you know, an imprint. It could make probably a design on this. If that's what you're looking for, go for it. But usually when I've got one that this has a pretty design on it already, So usually when I use something like this, I want to use the smooth pliers. See, the smooth ones. And they're not going to make an ugly mark on them. Now, here's what I do. I like to get my nice leather glue. It's worth it, okay? You only have to use a couple of 2 or 3 drops on each side, okay? Then you'll go ahead and place this in. I like to start in the middle. I'm not going to do it because I'm going to be using this for something else. So you're going ahead, starting in the middle, use your pliers, and then go here to the sides. Then the middle, see what I'm doing? I hope you can see. I hope I've got it angled right for you because I can't see what I'm doing. The middle, and then right here in the middle of the 2 sides. Take some time with it, okay? And you'll have a pretty finished product right there. Then you can use a jump ring and get your jump ring and put it right here in this little hole right here. You can see that right there. And you can use your jump ring, and then you can add something like this to it. I like mixing metals. Sometimes I'll use gold and silver together. I just think it's got a pretty look to it. So I would do that on each side like that. Then I've got a really pretty bracelet that I've put together using a lobster clasp. And those are just gorgeous. That's a pretty design right there. Okay, now I've given you 2 options. I'm going to give you a 3rd option. Oh, and let me tell you something about jump rings. There are different sizes of jump rings, okay? Now this one is real thin. Okay, very, very thin. I can actually bend this one with my fingers. See why I don't keep nails. I've got to have short nails. I could actually bend this one with my fingers. The only thing I don't like about that is if I can bend it with my fingers like that, if I have somebody who's rough on jewelry, they're going to think I have a lousy jewelry design if it comes apart, and it's not me, it's because they're rough on the jewelry. So I pay a little bit extra and get the heavy duty type. Okay, now let me tell you something about this. Now when you're making jewelry with your jump rings, again, now that's a smooth surface, which means I want my smooth surface pliers. Okay, so let me get my other pliers and I'll show you. I'm looking at what time it is. I want to make sure I get finished in time. When you do this back and forth, what you're doing is work hardening those jump rings, which is another important thing to do. When you've got your jewelry design, you want it to be a work hardened. Now we'll sacrifice this one because I never use this type anyway. Always go back and forth with a jump ring. If you go out and do it sideways, well, I've kind of worked hard and I may not be able to get it to do it. But if you spring out sideways like that, you're never going to get that jump ring back together again. That's just never going to happen. So since I don't use these anyway, I just wanted to sacrifice it and just show you a really, really good tip. Okay, so that's the way that rocks and rolls. All right, I do spend a little more money and I get the heavy duty ones. See there? It had to be pliers to move that. You still want to work hard on it, and you do this until it snaps. Oh, hear that snap? Okay, so there's your jump rings. All right, I'll go ahead and move these out of the way. Now, I want to do some snaps. So let me show you how to do it. So I'm going to make a pretty bracelet with this, with snaps. But what I want to do, I want it to look pretty, okay? So what I'm going to do is use my little tool I used just a minute ago and give it a real pretty rounded edge. Now I'm going to do that on both sides, okay? Well, actually I only have to do it on one side. So I'm going to say this is the side I want the snap to be on. Okay, now I'm going to make a little noise, so cover up your ears if you have to. Okay. And by the way, you can get these in different sizes as well. I like the ones that have the long handles to them. Now what usually comes with your snaps, you usually get some free stuff. So what generally comes with it is going to be a shorter one. It's like much shorter when you're using these. or if you're using any of these tools right here. I like the longer tools. They just work better. Okay, now this is what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead. I could use my little puncher right here if I wanted to do that. I'm just telling you it's going to take longer. So what I'm going to do, and get this stuff out of the way, I'm going to use this one because remember we tried, it's got a male and a female part to it, and I want to make sure that goes in good. Okay, I want it to be snug, and it is. It's very snug. So let's go ahead and make a hole. I would like to have, and this is something else you can do. I really like this idea too. Try to find, kind of eyeball it, and try to find the middle and just press down on it. And what that'll do, you'll see exactly where that impression was. I'll put it right here. I'm going to make some noise again. Here we go. Then when you first start doing this stuff like this, you're going to hit yourself with a hammer. I've done it several times. That's why I like the longer ones. If you use the ones that come with the snaps, they're about like this, and it is so easy. I mean, so easy to hammer yourself. Okay. All right. There we go. Now, another thing I can do right here, you'll find that a Sharpie is going to be your best friend. I didn't bring it over here, but the Sharpie, you can use that Sharpie and color it right here. Use your brown or use your black or whatever you want to do. And that makes it look real pretty on the ends too. And let's see. No, I didn't bring my Sharpie over here. Okay. Oh, and another thing you can do, I went on ahead and brought my fingernail file because, see, you're going to see, and it depends on the leather and the quality of the leather. Like, see, you can go on ahead down at the bottom, at the the very bottom of this, not the top parts. You don't want to mess up any of that part. But just go one way, okay, like this. And what that's going to do is that's also going to make it look prettier. It's a look more like a finished product when you do it that way. All right. So there's the pretty part of it. I love that. Now, I'm going to guesstimate. Let's put my wrist over here. And again, this bracelet right here, it costs way less than $1 to do it because I'll be making several bracelets on this. Now, this is one I'm going to keep, so I'm just going to put one snap on it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of guesstimate where I want that, because I like my bracelets kind of loose. Some people like, and if you're making these for someone, maybe someone's dad passed and it was his favorite belt and everybody wants a belt made out of dad's favorite belt. Find out how they like to wear their bracelets, if they like to wear them snug or however they like to do that. I just happen to like mine just a little bit loose. So I'm going to guess that the hole is going to go like right in there. Okay, now this is what I'm going to do. Show you a little secret. Okay, I'm going to line the bracelet up just like this, and I'm going to put it inside like this. Now I'm not going to go all the way through. Okay, all I want to do is make an indentation, kind of like that. See, I can see exactly that hole is going to line up exactly perfect. So let's go on ahead. There's my indentation. It's going to be exactly the same as on the other end. Let's go ahead and make another hole. Okay, so there I've done it. We're about to have to call it a day. So this is what I'll do. I'll go on ahead and put this part in here, like so. And let's go ahead and start it back up again. I'm going to make another show out of it. Okay, there we go. All right, we're still going. Okay, so I got several things. I can make an hour show out of this easy. Okay, so I went on ahead and put, see, we put the hole, and then we went on ahead and put this inside just like so. This is the other part that goes to the snap. Okay, now this part is, well, and I can show you better, I guess, by showing you with my bracelet right here. Okay, so you can see how I've got that lined up right there. Now this one is pretty wide, so I wanted to put 2 snaps on this one, okay, so that it holds. Now when you've got one that's a little more narrow, you don't have to use two snaps by the side, it just wouldn't look right. So this is going to look really good this way. All right, so I'll show you what I did. Again, this is a pretty part right here. Oh, forgot. This is another part that you use with the snaps as well. Now you can see it's got a little indentation. What that will do is make this, it'll keep this looking pretty. So it's, I've seen some that people have done that are kind of dented like right there. If they had just used this tiny little tool, and usually this comes with your snaps. It's usually something free. So if you'll use that, it's going to make it look prettier. Okay. Now remember my little tool. I told you they come in different sizes. This is the large one right here. And then this is the medium, and this is the small one. So you can see there's a little bit of a tip right here on that, and that helps to set it in there, okay? All right, so I'm going to use this one. Okay. Now I'm going to make more noise. Y'all are going to get so aggravated at me making all this noise. Here we go. Good hammer, okay? Make sure that you're on a good sturdy surface. This is a table Phil built for me. It's one of my work tables. And he made this out of an old door that was found out at the barn here at the house on the farm. You know, this used to be my grandparents' farm. Okay, now I use this more than other people do. So some people just do a couple of snaps. I want to do a lot of snaps. And then I'm going in a round motion like this. I want to make sure that it's in there. Okay, because basically what you're doing, you see how well that went in there. So basically what you're doing is you're kind of being like a metalsmith, and you're rounding that piece of metal down in there so that you've got a good snap. Okay, can you see that? Okay, yeah, just wanted you to see that. Okay, now remember we made the other hole, and I'm going to tell you what not to do because I've done this like 10,000 times. I'll go ahead and put that snap with that one. There we go. All right, so make sure, okay, make really sure that you're putting the snaps on the right way. You know how we got the male and the female part. Okay, so we use the male part on the top side of the snap part. See there how pretty that is? Okay, so what I'm going to do, I want this time to be on the bottom part of it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Here we go. I'm going to put there. You got to do it that way so it'll snap. See there? Now let's just say for some instance that maybe I just didn't put it on there the right way. Now remember, this is the curved part that we use for that pretty outside part of the bracelet. So what I'm going to do now is use this metal surface right here, and it's flat. Because if I use it on this one, it's going to be curved, and I don't want that. Because what will happen is it's going to wind up coming apart. Okay, now let's just say I've lined it up, and it's going to be, let's just pretend it's going to be too small, okay? I can always go back out and make another hole, but try to make it where you can hide the hole you've already made, okay? If you want to make it bigger, okay? Now, like I said, it's better to cut too long than too short because I can always cut this part back. All right, so let's go ahead and make sure I've got this thing set up right. Okay, there's the male part right here to the snap on this side, okay? So I'm gonna, whoop, almost did it wrong. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I want that to be on the bottom right there. Okay, let's go ahead and put this on the inside. I'm using the exact same tool I used on this side, okay? So here we go. Let's go ahead and punch that thing down. Okay, now you'll watch me. I'm going to hit a couple of big times. I'm going to go plop, plop. Then what I'm going to do is go circle around, okay? That way, I've got all these metal pieces. So I've got all the metal pieces there. And see, that's not going to cut off. So basically what I've done is I've rolled the metal. Again, it looks like this. Okay, remember? This was here, this was on the inside, and see how you had that big part right up there? Oh, I got the wrong piece. Here. Okay, so this is the flat part I just used, okay? So I've got this part sitting inside. So what I've done is I've hit it a couple of times and I've rolled it around with my tool right here. And what that's doing, you're metalsmithing. Yeah, you really are. So it's, I hope you can see it sideways. Let me see if I've got that right. Okay, so what you're doing is you're rolling this around and it's causing that metal to roll down in there. So you're going to have a good sturdy. They're never going to come apart. Okay, I want to look and make sure I got it exactly the way I want it. I don't think you can do it too many times. So again, I'll show you again. You just do this. Okay. And again, you're working with metals. It's pretty cool. Now you want to make, especially if you're making it for somebody else, especially, you want to make sure it snaps. And it does. And look at that. Is that not a beautiful bracelet? I love the shine on it. And you can get these bracelets at Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop. They're only $1 a piece. And I can make several out of this one. So there we go. It works. Now, if you want to, you can trim that. And I can go ahead and use this again for trimming. And that'll just make a nice round look. So I'm eyeballing it. And again, I'm using one that's bigger than the size of the belt. Now, I don't want to go huge, giant, bigger because it's not going to work as well. I can write you a book on what not to do. Now, see, I don't want to go too short. I want to leave a little bit of room right here, okay? See, in between the snap and right here. Okay, let's see. I sure do appreciate you watching me. Okay, I'm going to go into a commercial break in a minute, but before I go into a commercial break, I did want to go ahead and show this to you, okay? See there? You can do it. And I know a lot of folks have been suffering gas prices, food prices, all this stuff. Why not go to Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop and buy some belts and make some really nice Christmas presents? If you made me one of these right here, I would treasure it forever. And they're really stylish. A leather bracelet is always going to be in style. Let's go ahead and go to a commercial break. I'm going to look for a couple more things, and I'll be right back in just a few minutes. Y'all hang in there, okay? We are back. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday. From 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. This is a fun time. I really love making jewelry. Just wanted to show you real quick how that bracelet turned out. I love it. See how nice that is? Again, we've had some pretty rough times with with what's going on in the economy and gas prices and food prices and everything just being overboard pricey. So what you can do is go to Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop, find yourself a nice belt like this one. And I mean, this is pretty awesome. So I'm just going to show you really quick. And then I'm going to get back. So here we go. It's in the drawer. I'm going to show you about how many bracelets I can make out of this one belt that costs $1. Okay, so I've got two belts right here. 2 bracelets I meant. And that would be, say, 3. That's 4. See what a good deal it is? You're looking at 5 bracelets that you can make out of this one right here. That's going to depend on the size, you know that. But anyway, and it's a really nice, good quality bracelet. I love it. And I just love the way that turned out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you, we've still got a few minutes left in this segment. I'm going to show you how I can put rivets. Remember, I saved this one right here. I'll take this one off. Then we've got this one is finished. And it's a gorgeous piece, if I must say so myself. Okay. Beautiful. Here we go. All right, let's go ahead and put this down again. And I'm going to make sure I can get this where you can actually see what I'm doing. And I think you probably can. All right, so I'm going to make sure that you can see this part. Maybe I can do it up just a little bit more. Okay. All right. Now, I hope I have it the way you can see it, okay? I think up just a little bit more. All right. I think that's got it. Okay. Now, remember, we started out with this one. I told you I found this. It's a real nice suede leather belt. And it's a belt that I made several of these and sold them. And so it was a pretty big belt. And there were about 6 of these in the design of it. And so all I did is I just cut them. Now, it's easier to use suede leather than it is the regular leather like this. It'll be faster, it's a little easier, and it's just easier to deal with. So I turned right around and made a bracelet out of it. I put 2 snaps because it is, kind of a wide-like belt. So there we go. There's that one I made. All right, let's put this one over here to the side. Now, I told you I cut off this part right here. Okay, and remember we were talking about the holes that it has right here. Let's move it this way so you can see it a little bit better. Make sure you got a good work surface, by the way. I wouldn't use anything unless it's really good stable table like this one Phil built for me. So I wanted to cut this part off because what I've got in mind for this is, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 holes on this bracelet right here. So let me give you an idea of what you can do with that. Okay. These are cool. So these are little rivets that you can use. Okay, and you can get them really inexpensive on eBay or whatever. So what you would do is just get the little rivet and put it inside that hole right here. Now, I like to use a little bit of glue on mine. I just want extra stability. It'll hold like this. I would just rather have the glue. And put a drop of really good, it can be like, any kind of like super glue or anything like that. I'm not going to put it in there because I want to show you different things, okay? So put just a drop of glue, then you would just snap that down, and look what you got. Something really pretty that was made off of a belt that has all these holes on it. Okay? So let's go ahead, I'm going to take this off and put it right back here in my box. Now, there are different ones you can use. You can go with one like this. I think these are pretty. And again, they come with a male and a female part to it. So you got that part. And then what'll happen, you can put, again, use a little bit of super glue, okay? And then you'll just put this on here like that. Okay? And that snaps in. And then you got that pretty one. And, some people are into a lot of bling. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. Like, Mother wears a lot of jewelry. She'll wear like big earrings, big necklace, big everything. And then Larissa wears like very little, like a small little necklace or a small little bracelet, like she likes stuff like this. Well, I'm somewhere in the middle of both of them. I like kind of the middle way stuff. Like, I think this is pretty on it. And you need to know the style of the person that you're making jewelry for. Because again, it's all over the board. Different people like different things. I like that gunmetal in there. I think that's really nice. I think that's really pretty. Now you can also go, and you can see I've got a box full of these things. I don't know if you can see it. I hope I have it where you can see it. Yeah. So I've got a box full of these, and I wait and I buy stuff when it's on sale. Y'all know me. So I also have these real pretty ones right here. And now those are a little bit bigger than that gunmetal one. And see how pretty that would look. So you can just line them up, because a lot of people like the turquoise look. I love that. That's probably the one I'm going to wind up using. We've got gunmetal. And let's see, we got silver. Oh, and this is pretty too. Let me show you this one. Okay, for somebody that may like pearls, I got this one. So what you would do on this one, I'll just move these out of the way so I don't mess it up. Okay, so you would stick this in on the bottom, and then you would put this little pearl, which is pretty, and just put that in too. See, now that would be a gorgeous one right there with the pearls. You know, just whatever you like and whatever you think your family likes. This is a gorgeous one right here too. I like the gold. You know, I've been wearing gold, so it doesn't matter to me whether other people like it or not. But I just always like gold and the gold tones and that kind of thing. But the gold is, they're saying, is making a huge comeback. Now, when you've got these holes, make sure now that this is not going to slide through. So make sure that it goes back. So let's say that you have somebody that, you know, there are bigger holes in the leather. Then you might want to choose something a little bit more like this one. Okay. It's also going to depend on the thickness of your leather as well. Now that one, see, that's pretty tall right there. So what you would want to do with this one, let's put this back down in here. So what you want to do with this one, you'd put this on top and you'd snap it in. You'd listen to it snap, and you would want to use something kind of like, where's my tools? Here we go. Something kind of like this tool right here. And you would just put it on the surface of this. Now make sure it's a little bigger than that. Okay, you would want it to completely cover that surface. And then what you would do is just go ahead and get your hammer and just hammer it on down like that. We're not going to do that yet, okay? Because probably, and you can be versatile. You can use like different kind of things. I do like the rivets better. Okay, and make sure you keep all your tools organized so you can get right to it. Okay, sometimes it's better said than done. I know that. So let's go on ahead. I think I'd like to use, yeah, I think I want to use the turquoise ones. Okay, so it's going to take 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. I'll go ahead and put these up. I don't want to get them mixed up. This goes in my little bag, because if I don't put stuff in the bag right when I'm getting it out, I'm going to get messed up. All right, so let's find the components that go with this. Okay, so I need 5. There are 5 of them right there. I need the bottoms that go on them, and I've got to make sure now that that bottom is not going to go through that hole. So you need to test on that first, and it's not. It's going to stay put. Okay. All right. Let's get a few more of those out. Okay. Right here. Okay. Let's go ahead and put this over here to the side before I have beads all over the place. I have done that many times. Okay, now let's go ahead and put, and this you want to do by hand to start with, okay? I would use my glue, and then I'll go ahead and put this down just like that. Now I'm going to take this apart, okay, because I am going to be putting glue on here. I just fear that could come apart sometime, and if you're anything like I am, when I wear jewelry, I am like rough on it. Okay, I hope you're able to see this. Okay, and here we go. Let's go ahead and put this part down, just like that. Okay. Again, I'm starting down here at the bottom. Oh, that's going to be really, really nice. I'm going to like that turquoise. Okay. Turquoise is pretty all year round. That's one thing, again, you can wear it whenever you want to. Okay, I'm putting it down here. Let's go ahead and put this in. And again, I didn't have to make the holes, are made for me. It was already made in the belt. All right. And again, this will hold. I just want extra security. Okay, so this is what the bottom of it looks like. Now take a look. Isn't that gorgeous? I love the way that turned out. Again, the whole belt cost $1. And so far I've made 2 really pretty belts out of it. I love the way that looks. That's gorgeous. Now, if I'm going to use this, I'm using, again, you got to get, let's get your colors. I'm not going to mix the metals this time. So if I were to use this one, not quite. I would need to use some kind of gold around here. And you see that's a silver color right there. Okay, so let's see. I may have to go into a commercial break so I can get the right color for you. Okay, and I apparently do not have that here with me. Let's go ahead and cut to a break. We're going to be right back in just a minute. I want you to see the Hatter Cafe, okay? One of our new sponsors. They are certainly awesome folks that love these videos. Getaway place, and this will be one of the places. Okay, we are back. I am Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home. I wanted to show you a couple more things. First of all, is I let you see how I put the snap together, so I'm not going to bore you with that right now, but I wanted to show you how you can match your things up. We got that real pretty turquoise, and this again was the part of the belt, had the holes in it. And so what I could do, so I could put my snap right there. I think that would be a pretty snap to use. The gun barrel I'm not so sure about. First of all, this is just a little bit too big. I could have made a hole a little bit closer out this way, and I think it would have fit better. Now I can do that. That won't be a problem. But I just think that this one would look better. First of all, it's smaller, and then it's really going to match those turquoise parts that are right there. Isn't that awesome? Okay, I love the way that turned out. Okay, so I won't make the snaps because we've already done that before. Okay, now I wanted to show you another part, and this was a belt that I had bought, and it won't take me just a few minutes to do this one. We've got about 4 minutes left in this segment. So I bought this one. I wasn't that crazy about the belt itself. It would make a pretty belt, but now I always like to look at the underside of it. This one right here apparently had not been worn much. But I just fear that that's just not going to, I don't think that's real leather. I could just tell by the quality it's just not there. However, I love the belt buckle. This is awesome. So let me just go ahead and show you what you can do. Your good scissors again, okay? So let's go ahead and cut this part off. and I'm going to give you an idea on how to make a statement piece for a necklace. Okay, we're going to take this part off right here. Okay, now see this. Now save everything. Okay, I have a box it's just full of stuff like this that you can always use in another part of jewelry making. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. See this part right here. I'm going to twist it off. Actually, should have got my needle nose pliers for this. So let's just go ahead and kind of bend back this part. Yeah, I'm probably going to need my needle nosed pliers for this. Yeah, you're going to watch me cut myself or something probably on this segment. Tell you what we can do. Let's just pretend it's off. Okay, because we don't have a whole lot of time. There's only 2.5 minutes left of this segment. So what I can do, pretend that's off, okay? Use your imagination. I can use this for a necklace right here. I could get another piece of leather. I could have left the leather on it and done something with it, but I like the way this turns out. Okay, this is something that I found. I haven't finished with it yet. I just found this old ring. It was actually an old ring that came off of a shower curtain. And so what I did is I used my metal smithing hammer and I hammered a design on it right here. And I found this stone. This stone is a jasper stone. So what I did, I put a piece of tape on the bottom of it. Just right here, smack. See, I haven't even cleaned it off yet. So I put a piece of tape on the bottom of it, and I put a little bit of resin on it, and I let it set until it hardened. Then I got the stone and I put it in, and then I put a little bit of resin on the bottom of it, and then I put this stone in, and I put more resin right here. You know, you can do the same thing with this, and that would be awesome. Get a pretty stone like this one right here I found when, see, it's too big. But I found this one when we went on our trip to Dollywood. We were just kind of out walking around, looking at the beautiful scenery and that kind of thing. But I also found this one. That's a pretty stone right there. Now, there's something about resin. In resin, when you put resin on a stone, it gives it this dimensional look. So you got kind of this 3D thing going on. So what I can do is put a piece of tape on the bottom right here, and that's going to seal it in. Put a very thin layer of resin. You can do the 2-part, or you can just do the kind that you just lay out in the sun and just let it do its thing. So you'll start out with the bottom part of the resin, let it dry, put the stone in there, put more resin on this. Make sure you got the stone the way you want it, the way you want to situate it, and you've got a beautiful piece of jewelry. Thank you for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. I hope you've learned some stuff, saved some money, go make a difference, and go to Shepherd's Cove Thrift Shop, and you'll find some awesome, awesome jewelry. Again, thank you so much for watching. You're the apple of my eyeball, I promise.